This episode of the XtremeAg Show is presented by Concept AgriTek.
Cowbore is the game changer, getting it in through the leaf and into the plant circulatory system. That's why this product is so effective at delivering both calcium and boron to plants at critical times when they need it the most.
In the heart of the Iowa Corn Belt, besides farming 8,000 acres of row crops, Kelly Garrett also has a cattle operation with a unique approach. With a dedicated group he refers to as his SEAL Team 6, they're getting up early and getting it done every day.
So I get up just after 5 every day, but it doesn't feel like work to me because I love it so much. Our cow herd is mostly black cattle, mostly black cows, mama cows, and we have registered Angus bulls. The cattle are born and raised on our farm. We sell the steers weighing 800 or 900 pounds. We keep the heifers. It's a little bit of a value-added project because the steers obviously will bring more in town as an 800 or 900 pound animal than the heifers will. So then we keep the heifers and we finish those to approximately 1,250 pounds. We built a store. We opened on Labor Day 2022, and we process about 12 head a month. If you look at a steer that finishes at 1,500 or 1,600 pounds, the diameter of the loin, think about a ribeye, and as a consumer, most people want a 12 or 14 ounce steak, I would say. Out of a 1,600 pound calf, the diameter of the ribeye is so much bigger that you then end up cutting that steak thinner, and it's not as good as an eating experience. I would really like to finish the heifers at 12 or 1,250 pounds, smaller diameter. We cut the steaks 1.25 inches thick. That's a beautiful steak. Because our perspective is making quality meat, we will feed them a little bit longer to try to make them grade better, and I think it reflects in our product. I come out here in the morning to check and make sure that these cows and calves are all right. There's about 18 pairs here. We've got an electric fence that we put in here now, a rotational grazing. There's these theoretical effects to rotational grazing where intensive management makes the grass last longer. But this is a small pasture, and we have about a cow per acre here. We got the cows fenced on the south half, and then in a week or so, we'll put them on the north half. And you don't want to pasture the grass into the ground. You don't want to let them clip it off very short. Every blade of grass is basically a solar panel, and every blade of grass is conducting photosynthesis, putting carbon into the earth for the exchange with the microbial system. This is really healthy. You'll see the effects of the rotational grazing in just a couple days. And then we'll move them back to the other side, and that grass will recover. And it's just like a salad bar for humans. The cows think they're going on fresh grass that they haven't trampled over or the manure, things like that. It's just the next level of intensive management like we're trying to do with our crops. There's a staff of about 7 key employees that we have that I call SEAL Team 6, because they'll run through a brick wall for me, and I will run through a brick wall for them. And so not only do I have my sons, but I've got SEAL Team 6, and there's nothing we can't do. It never ceases to amaze me what we can accomplish.
Burn sharp. In our state, you have to take the ASVAB for it's testing for the military, what your job would be, or I don't know. He got nuclear scientist or some nerd stuff. And they were offering him scholarships and telling him where he could go. He could travel the world and do all these jobs and everything. And he was like, no, I want to go to Iowa State, get my 4-year degree and come home and farm. They looked at him like he was crazy. They didn't get it, that he just wanted to come home and farm.
So Vern is like an old farmer name, I guess, old guy name. From a young age, I had that personality, just slow, doing everything, really thinking things over, never jumping right into something, and so I got the name Vern when I was pretty young, and that's what everybody knows me as. A lot of people don't know my real name. Most people describe me as a 75-year-old farmer living in a 24-year-old body. Cheese is the baby of the family. He loves working with cattle. He loves being out there every day. He takes after my dad, definitely. He's extroverted. He wants to talk to anybody. He wants to have a good time and joke around.
I don't take it for granted that I get to work with my sons every day.
My dad's always been my hero. just all the things he can do out here. He can talk to anybody and figure anything out, and it's pretty special to get to work with him and try to model what he's after.
I love to go visit the city. I love going to New York City, love going to Chicago, but that looks like a rat race to me. You know, living here, sitting out here, how many people can you see right now? How many cars are driving by? You know, it's quiet. I wouldn't have it any other way. I was born to be here.
Amino Grow is an exciting new product put out by Concept AgriTek. What we've seen is an increase in fruiting sites as well as branching, and this has equated to yield.
Spot less. Introducing the cleanup for tar spot, gray leaf spot, southern rust, and more. Novel next generation Adastrio fungicide from FMC broadens your spectrum and strengthens your residual foliar disease control. Protect your cornfields with a proprietary combination of 3 modes of action. Visit your FMC retailer or adastrio.ag.fmc.com to clean up this season.
Introducing Demco's newest dual auger grain cart design. Now equipped with the front folding auger and available in right side or left side unload options. Featuring Demco's corner auger design for optimal visibility. With a 22-inch vertical auger, unload at speeds of 600 bushels per minute. Demco. Outpace harvest time every time.
Some farmers I know swear by a name. Say they'd never operate anything else. Well, here are a few names for my Fendt 900 tractor. Fuel Saver, Time Maximizer, Game Changer. I like those names.
BioHealth is a product by Concept AgriTek made up of a consortium of beneficial biology that actually colonize the plant and boost the plant's immune system from the inside.
It's planting season, a stressful time for any farmer. After preparing all winter, Kevin Matthews is finally ready to put seed in the ground. Unfortunately, his equipment is not on the same page.
The infer system is not working. It just worked fine, then shut it down. The next day it ain't started back. And so we're trying to figure out what's going on. I smell something burning. If we see smoke, we'll know where to look.
We've troubleshooted it down to where now we know that the motor is not running, but there's power going to it. So I think it might be bad. We got an extra one we're going to put on here and see if that fixes the problem.
So what happened here is it's a dual pump system. One pump had apparently been out, but we're running such a low rate at 4 gallons an acre. It really didn't need both pumps running, and we did not know one of them was out. And actually the top pump, when we did our winter maintenance, I personally laid my hand on it and it was running fine, so I never thought nothing about it. But we're learning now that these pumps need to be replaced about every 5 years, or 4 years to 5 years, and I was not aware of that. But you live and learn. We're at about 10% right now, not quite 10% on planting. That's pretty far behind for us. Typically, we're going to be a lot further down the road. And there's my problem. All that rust right there, that's really bad. That's why this motor's not running. So yeah, we'll do a little motor repair here in the field. I think I can clean this thing up. Hard to believe you farm with an electronic engineering degree and we're out here in the middle of a cornfield rebuilding an electric motor, but you gotta do what you gotta do to keep this stuff going.
With the pump fixed, Kevin still can't catch a break. A fertilizer supply hose burst, spewing fertilizer all over his planter.
Well, that's a lot of fun. But I can fix it in a few minutes and get back to going just another day. Son of a gun. So you can see each one of these sensors here. Got sensors on the downforce, sensors all the way up. All these LED lights. I was really worried, but it looks like I got pressure on my airbags, so hopefully they're okay. But I don't want to take a chance. Anywhere I think I might have a little fertilizer, I'm going to rinse it off. That stuff's very corrosive. There shouldn't be any pressure on it because there's my hole. You can see where it's split right there. Can't get upset though because it could be something major to fix. So sometimes we got to improvise because time is money. I happen to know where there's a piece of hose I can steal off my tractor.
With rain in the forecast, Kevin can't afford to get further behind. With some quick thinking, he decides to cut a piece of overflow hose from the fertilizer tank for an in-field repair.
Oh Lord, yeah. Well, sometimes you gotta improvise. This is life farming right here. Farm life at its best.
After all the repairs, and with daylight fading quickly, Kevin is in a race against the clock. He and Danielle will need to work together to make up for lost time. He should be good to go. Or is he?
When we're in the same field, on the same farm, we have all the machines connected so you can see where the work has already been done. In order for these machines to see what each other's done, we've got to have that internet connection. A lot of this works with satellite and the internet, and I pretty much have to have that signal. So it's really frustrating when it don't work right, but this is unreal what all you deal with.
Kevin calls for help. A technician arrives and gets to work.
Every hour that we lose production, that delays our planting. And when we delay the planting, it's costing us huge money. 1 hour is 50 acres with 2 planters. That's bad. There's actually 2 guys working, one remotely and then the one in the cab. So it looks like we're gonna be up and running here shortly.
With intense troubleshooting, they finally got it. The internet connection is restored, and Kevin and Danielle begin a long night of planting.
If I gotta run to 5 the next morning, we're gonna do it. We ain't got no choice. We'll roll.
Adding Raytheon into your infer application or even an over-the-top application around V3, V4 can do wonders in helping that plant navigate tough soil conditions as far as nutrient tie-up is concerned.
Control the toughest weeds with overlapping residuals. Lock in the longest-lasting control for your soybean fields. Authority brand herbicides, such as Authority Edge herbicide and Authority Supreme herbicide, combine the industry's most effective Group 14 and 15 active ingredients for a clean start and long-lasting residual control. Following up 14 to 28 days later with a post-application of Anthem Max herbicide through V6 establishes a heavy-duty, economical, overlapping residual program.
Claims are good and all, but I'm more interested in results. My Fendt Momentum planter delivers them. The only planter with automatic tire pressure adjustments, weight transfer across its frame, and inline center tandem wheels that eliminate pinch rows. It's just another way I know Fendt's got my bottom line top of mind.
Sweet Success has been in the product lineup of Concept AgriTek for a while. We've seen it do a lot of things that you wouldn't think a blackstrap molasses product would do. Anytime you can increase the bricks content of your plant, the more healthy it's going to be.
Down in the Arkansas Delta, Matt Miles and his son Lane take an approach to farming that involves constant change, new technology, innovation, and the risk that goes along with it.
The thing about our farm is we're always continually changing something. You know, our grower standard practice, it's different today than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's different today than it was last year. And that's one cool thing about our operation. We're big, but we stay agile. You know, Lane's 28 years old, I'm 54. I should be smarter than him. And experience-wise, maybe I am. But he comes in with so many new and innovative ideas that I've had to take a step back and say, hey, I got to listen to what this young guy is saying, because he may be smarter at some of these things than I am. And you've proved that time and time again. And, you know, I think we got a pretty good team going. It's one thing we do on our farm is try new things that are probably out of the box, that probably won't make money, but you don't know if you don't try. And if we do it on a small amount of acres, you know, it don't break the bank. If I lose some money here, you know, it's money that I've saved up to be able to continue to do research with that we won maybe in a contest. It gets taxing sometimes, the amount of trials that we do, but you can't stay stagnant. If you stay stagnant, you're going to stay stagnant in yields or efficiency. It don't always have to be yields, it could be efficiency. So instead of testing an input, we may be testing a new piece of machinery. And so it's always constantly something going on. 5 years ago, you know, we run 4 to 6 combines in the field together or on a farm together. And if we had a combine that the yield monitor broke on, there wasn't no way I was stopping, but I wasn't gonna stop the combine to wait on a yield monitor, because I get my tickets at the end of the year and I would know what the field average. What I figured out though is that it's not all about what the field average is, it's about what places in the field average. Kevin Matthews says this all the time, and I really thought it was some pretty intelligent advice. We need to be managing plants instead of managing acres. And so I finally realized the mistakes we were making with that. Today, we have a yield monitor breakdown. Bad as I hate to, I'm gonna wait on Deere to come out and fix that yield monitor, because the data that we get from the technology is a roadmap for next year's crop. If we didn't have yield data at the end of the year to compare to the experiments we had, then we would have no idea if the experiment was working at all. As far as planting depth, we have to pay attention to weather. And when I say weather, we have to pay attention to the amount of rainfall we'll get or not get. We have to pay attention to temperatures, whether they're high, whether they're low, and something that a lot of people, you know, probably don't take into consideration is the amount of wind we get every year. All those things are dependent on how deep we plant any crop we plant. You know, I don't use a ruler, I use knuckles. So, you know, I'm gonna plant cotton a half a knuckle, I'm gonna plant soybeans between a half a knuckle and a knuckle, and I'm gonna plant corn 2 knuckles. If I get any deeper than that on any crop, with any kind of moisture coming our way, it's probably not coming up in my soils. So planting depth is crucial to me, but when you've got these sealed over soils, like we get, you know, moisture is a big deal. So if I plant that bean and I get a ½ inch rain, I need another ½ inch rain in about 5 to 6 days, because what'll happen is, we plant the field, we get a ½ inch rain, the ground seal's over, wind's blowing 15 miles an hour for 4 days, then you get that concrete look to this ground. You know, that plant starts pushing up, so it's in its crook, and you've got a piece of soil over it. And so he's having to push through that and push that piece of soil up and get out and then fold out. And when you get the concrete look to this ground, that seed is probably a good chance, especially if he's deeper. That's why I plant shallower. Their chances are he's gonna die before he can get that rock pushed off of his head. If you don't get the depth right, you're not gonna get the stand to emerge the way you want to. There's no correct depth to planting. It all depends on environmental factors. So most people have no idea. We spent $1 million in seed. You know, when we're talking about $1 million worth of input, just in seed alone, you know, we've got to get it right the first time. Of all things that I can do, losing $1 million is not one of them. It takes a tremendous amount of investment, time, knowledge to do the things that we're trying to do. Grain prices, cotton prices, they've went up, but not near at the rapid rate that the input costs have gone up. That's not even considering the fact of availability of products and inputs that we need today that are basically non-existent, where you could walk in a part store and pick up 5 different parts. Today you can go in there and pick up one of those 5 and the other 4 have got to be ordered. So we're farming in a complete different world than we've ever been in the past.
Go long for season-long foliar disease protection that starts at plant. Active ingredient flutriafol moves through your corn plants as they grow for inside-out protection from roots to tassel. A single at-plant application provides comparable performance in corn yield protection to that of VTR1 foliar fungicides against diseases like gray leaf spot, northern corn leaf blight, common rust, and more.
Some farmers I know swear by a name, say they'd never operate anything else. Well, here are a few names for my Fendt 900 tractor. Fuel Saver, Time Maximizer, Game Changer. I like those names.
Ask just about any farmer and they'll tell you the most important thing that happens on their farm is planting, because at time of planting dictates so much about the success of your crop throughout the season. I'm standing in a shop because it's way past planting time here, and I've got a planter right here beside me. So I thought this would be a great time to show you some of the inner workings, because as you might imagine, a planter obviously plants the seed, but it does so much more than that. For instance, there's the seed tank where the seed would be put in bulk. It comes down to the planter unit via air and is put in a furrow. In that furrow goes more than just seed, because there's in-furrow technology to allow us to put some of the crop inputs that help us make a crop. In addition to the in-furrow, many planters are outfitted with 2x2 technology. What that means is, off to the side of the furrow, 2 inches out, 2 inches down, we're putting other crop inputs, things like fertility, maybe a fungicide treatment, a plant growth regulator, or even a biological, which of course are becoming more and more popular in today's agriculture. You see, this planter does more than just put the seed in the ground. It delivers all the other inputs to help put this crop on the right path for a successful harvest.
In the heart of Alabama, where the soil poses challenges and the unforgiving heat tests the mettle of farmers, one innovator stands tall. Chad Henderson thinks he's cracked the code to optimal planting in these tough conditions.
We started out with a strip freshener, and I went and bought these units, you know, because what we was trying to do is we didn't need to work up all this red ground and have it exposed, but I had a hard time no-tilling back in the beans residue with wheat bean stubble there. It would never dry out accurately. So we just brushed that away and it planted nice. So we started with that, and at first we had a 16-row rig, and we just kind of put it on a stack bar and was like, man, I think this will work. I hate to buy a rig, but maybe it'll work. So then we run it the first year and we was like, oh, this is gonna work. So then we went and bought a 16-row planter, like a 7200, and we stripped the units off of it like a lot of people have done, put the fresheners on it. It worked great. Well, then we went from a 16-row planter to a 24-row planter. And we run it a year or so, you know, with RTK, but man, it just never would really line up. And for y'all that do strip tilling, you know how important it is to stay on the strip. When the planter's set up to run on a strip and it gets off the strip, the unit's not coming in the same place again. Now, we do have hydraulic downforce and a lot of things that will combat that, but it's not the same. This season we built a 24-row bar, and we took a planter just like this, and we found a used planter, stripped all the units off of it, took the commodity tank off of it, and then just set a tank on it and put our fresheners on it. And that's what we've been using, so now it'll match the planter and everything runs accurately. So we have a 12-row strip till, a 24-row strip freshener, and we're running with a 24-row planter. This was double crop soybeans. So this was wheat and then soybeans, and then we come back and run a strip till right behind, kind of chasing the combines, if you will. This will be a November to December strip till application. Putting our P and our K down, and you can see the old strip here. As you look here, it'll be an old strip, and it's not a lot left. There's a lot of trash in it. The reason we left our row cleaner off of the strip to kind of leave that in there, because we're looking, we don't want anything to wash. We're a little bit rolling and we don't want any chance of washing. So we'll take our row cleaner off and kind of leave the straw in that strip. Now we're coming back with a freshener, and we're putting our, it's an actual application. So we're putting our N down now. This is nitrogen at a 28005, and then we're looking at anywhere from a 10 or 12 up to a 25-gallon application here, according to what we're doing and the process and what we need out of the field. If it's irrigated field, non-irrigated field, how much we're looking at, what the N use rate is, several variables that go into this. But we have our sulfur there also, thus being the 5 in the 28005. So this application was just P and K. We come back here and it's our nitrogen part of it. So we're being as efficient as we can, not putting our nitrogen out for leachability earlier on. So what we want to do, really prime, it's a little cloddy. If things was perfect, I'd want to get one rain on this, get us, and then we're planting into that stale seed bed effect. We really like that. The planter runs real nice. The smoother it is for the planter to run, the better the planter's gonna do. This is a 20-gallon to the acre application right here is what we're putting down, and that'll give us around 60 units to start with, and that'll ease up on the planter. When we get to the planter part of it, we're looking at a 2x2 effect. Then we can ease up and not have a whole lot of liquid going through the planter because it's already in the band, and so we'll be lighter. We may be like 6 to 8 gallon of 28, and then we'll be higher in our phosphorus or K or things that we might need. Actually, you know me, I might have a little boron in there. This is why we're strip tilling, and this is where our strip freshener is, the second application.
It changes everything, so says Indiana corn grower Nathan Davis about innovative Xyway LFR fungicide from FMC. Xyway brand fungicides are the first and only at-plant corn fungicides to provide unprecedented season-long inside-out foliar disease protection.
Precision is understanding the potential hidden within. Decoding the specific nutritional needs of your crop. Maximizing every nutrient and getting the most out of your yield. We break down the science in a way that works for your crops and for you. Apply less and expect more with Precision Crop Nutrition from Agro Liquid.
Manganese is a micronutrient. It's important in photosynthesis process. It's also important in structure. It is important in the formation of lignin, which is basically cell structure. So plant structure, everything, support, stiffness is very important with manganese.
Here's the reason that we use manganese. So in our soil type, we're generally cooler, we're generally wetter. We add manganese with an MN, not magnesium, Mg. We use that because it helps with photosynthesis, right? When it's cool and wet and expecting a rain, those kind of things, I'll add a little bit more manganese to my in-furrow system. And the reason I do that is because I'm trying to get a little bit of a jump start, want to try to power pack that plant. It just helps it photosynthesize better than if it had a deficiency, right? So it'll get it over that curve, over that hump.
If you're deficient in manganese, you might get a droopy plant or a little less structural strength. So that's what guys probably that are deficient are looking for, is that boost in overall strength of their cell walls and plant structure.
Everybody knows about glyphosate and how you get that yellow flash in glyphosate. 90% of the time that yellow flash in glyphosate is because glyphosate will tie up manganese in the plant, and that's where the yellow flash is coming from. So A couple of things that we do so we can alleviate the yellow flash. One, we'll add a PGR, like a certain type PGR. The reason that we'll add that is it helps with the yellow flash, but we'll also add a pint of manganese when we're spraying our herbicide program with glyphosate. That way we don't ever feel that effect, and we don't ever lose days of sunlight. Days of sunlight lost that is yield. And I don't ever want a hole in my leaf. I don't ever want my leaf to not be a bright, beautiful solar panel, because without those, you can't make up days of sunlight and photosynthesis. You can't make them back up. Once you've lost them, it's too late.
On the next Extreme Ag Show,
we're a little bit worried. We got 1.5 inches of rain here a couple of days ago, because they're talking about getting really cool this weekend into the 40s. So we'll stop planting. It's just not worth that risk.